That's never been done before. I may be biased, but I'm from Brooklyn.
Yet again, that has never been finished before. I might be one-sided, yeah, I'm from Brooklyn. So what yes you all expected to be the most energized gracious. There's a zapping situation unfolding in the core of Hollywood. And think about who's at the focal point of it, the flawless Denzel Washington. And assuming the murmurs in the business corners are anything to go by Spike Lee, is yelling run as loud as possible advance notice, Denzel out the unavoidable typhoon, traveled his direction, we're going to observe something many refer to as gigantic sources near the circumstance. Imply Denzel a figure we've esteemed on our screens for a long time, maybe very nearly exposing a portion of Hollywood's murkiest riddles. I'm up here to say thank you to God for giving me this capacity, forgive me for molding me currently. It's nothing unexpected that Hollywood isn't all daylight and rainbows. Yet Leia, producer, never reluctant to raise a ruckus, been especially vocal about Denzel's daring undertaking. At grasping disclosure, Lee supposedly said Hollywood makes sparkle on a superficial level. Yet there's a world underneath loaded down with untold stories. What might this at any point perhaps connote? We are in general as eager and anxious, as ever trusting that the dramatization will unfurl little personalities. Examine others tattle great personalities. Examine after the buzz around Spike Lee's new remarks. It's obvious that the connection among him and Denzel Washington isn't simply laid. It's well established. And generally critical take, for example, the 2019 American Movie Organization, Grant Spike Lee had stood up all enthusiasm and energy, articulating the huge job Denzel played in crushing Hollywood's racial prosaicisms. Lee had concisely put it, Denzel represents our dark masculinity unders, soaring the entertainer's fantastic status in an industry steve in racial predispositions, bringing an excursion down quite possibly of film's most famous path. Lee focused in on Washington's depiction of Malcolm X, declaring "You're Malcolm X" was stunning. We've never seen such brightness. This wasn't a sign of approval for Denzel's virtuoso. It was a strong counter-narrative against the frequently shallow jobs saved for dark entertainers in Hollywood. The association between these two something beyond proficient deference, both hailing from Brooklyn, their common roots have been a foundation molding their vocation directions and perspectives. Denzel's voice has consistently repeated clearly in the passageways of Hollywood. He's continually tested the business murmur declaration dark-driven films don't as yet resound universally with his diligence and unrivaled expertise. He's pierced through these fantasies, highlighting Hollywood's dormant predispositions. You hear frequently that dark entertainers, dark motion pictures don't play well abroad in a to us period, where Hollywood habitually ends up on the ropes wrestling with claims and disclosures. Denzel Washington reignites the well-established discussion on racial predisposition. Expanding on from where we left off, it's vital to take note of that Washington didn't vent, he introduced information retelling. And exposing the well-established fantasy dark motion pictures don't offer taking a re-established focal point to Denzel explanations. He unequivocally commented, "'Cause they used to say it didn't sell here. Then it does, then it said it doesn't sell in the South. Then it does," and short Washington's remarks have taken a demolition hammer to the wobbly exteriors. Hollywood took cover behind uncovering their routine irregularities. The unstoppable soul of Washington was additionally enlightened when he uncovered his mantra. I recently continued pushing, as opposed to capitulating to the prohibitive generalizations. He saw them as obstacles he was bound to jump over. I've been at the Oscars in each position you can imagine. Washington made sense of placing into sharp center the fluctuating idea of Hollywood's most sparkling evening, and the extraordinary difficulties dark entertainers frequently face. I didn't contemplate decency, I encountered it, he added. While perceiving the clear differences, he wouldn't be pigeonholed by them. His excursion from a backtop of humility to the Hollywood stroll of popularity isn't a demonstration of his ability, yet a sparkling guide for each hopeful entertainer. who's been informed you can't repeating a feeling that resounds past the breathtaking walls of Hollywood Washington joke, assuming you're chasing after pardons they're not difficult to track down, be it in race or somewhere else. His clarion call was unquestionable. Let not predisposition, anyway, unavoidable, stop you persist, push win as our visit with Washington. With slowing down, he dropped traces of unfolding the Chiefs hat again, once more yet in addition. Genuinely conceded acting took care of the Bill's a stock update that in the fabulous universe of Hollywood logic frequently strolls hand in hand with energy, frequently strolls hand in hand with enthusiasm. Basically, Denzel Washington's strong story. Those past simple words it challenges an industry's well-established creeds, shaking the very establishments they're based upon and keeping in mind that Spike Lee's steady undertaking in featuring racial variations is critical. It's the collaboration of voices like Den Washington's that enhance the message together. They remind us there's actually no need to focus on the jobs you're given, yet the way in which you play them. And play them they do with unequaled artfulness. However, the DU of Spike Lee and Denzel Washington aren't the main crusaders in that frame of mind. As the times of Hollywood develop, more entertainers are raising their voices, testing the fundamental prejudice instilled inside the business. Terrence Howard's emotional exit from Hollywood last year shocked numerous his jobs. For example, in Hustle Stream, and as the attractive Lucius Lyon in the hit series Domain, exhibited his flexibility and gravitas as an entertainer yet under the spotlight. Howard wrestled with limitations that took steps to smother his specialty creativity. His exit was definitely not a quiet retreat. Power got straight to the point about the keeps he felt to Hollywood, voicing worries over the deception of people of color on screen. The man has been defamed, he commented during a charged meeting, hinting that Hollywood has been cultivating an account that compromises the honesty and picture of individuals of color. The heaviness of these jobs, frequently saturated with generalizations, weighed weighty on Howard, who felt the opposition when he decided on trustworthiness over smugness. His stand, while estimable, delivered him troublesome. According to some industry heavyweights, Bugs rehashed conflicts with Hollywood, especially the Foundation reverberate, with a scary commonality. The 1990 oversight, where made the best decision was eclipsed by driving Miss Daisy, was a distinct demonstration of the Institute's hesitance to draw in with additional difficult socially relevant stories. Many years after the fact, history appeared to rehash the same thing. In spite of Dark Klansman focusing on squeezing racial issues, the top Oscar honor escaped Lee, rather leaning toward Green Book. Yet Lee's victory in the Best Adjusted Screenplay classification was a well-deserved success and gesture to his strength and capacity to defeat Hollywood's inclinations. Lee's predictable fights, Terrence Howard's frustration, and presently Denzel Washington's disclosures all underline a seismic change in the actual bedrock of Hollywood. While we praise the achievements, it's crucial for regard the wake-up calls that go with them. It's apparent that Hollywood sheen frequently veils a domain of intricacy. Denzel's impending exposures, supported by partners like Lee, may be the impetus Hollywood necessities to re-examine and revamp. And as this tempest builds up speed, one thing is clear: the fate of Hollywood will be written by those fearless enough to challenge its past. Yet the discussion goes further, fanning into different features of Hollywood's portrayal of dark entertainers. In the midst of the magnificence of Hollywood's most observed creations, an example arises that has been examined in quieted tones at this point, reverberates plainly the continuous depiction of dark male entertainers in dressing in drag jobs. Flashes banter introducing an inquisitive case for assessment. Dave Chappelle, a comedic monster with unmatched discernment, enlightened this hidden worry in a sincere talk with Oprah Winfrey. Like when I interface staffs that perhaps ought not be connected. I don't know yet specific specs, like when I see that they put each individual of color in the motion pictures in the dress eventually in their vocation I be interfacing, like why this multitude of siblings got odd dressed. Chappelle's uncomfortable recollections of his experience On Blue Streak Close by Martin Lawrence brought this example into sharp center. He thought back about the unmistakable strain. He looked to Sunrise Address for a scene, an interest he fervently declined, leaving us considering what is it with Hollywood's fixation on setting individuals of color in dresses, while characters like Shannon Jenkins from Martin and Meta are left it's pixiative to evaluate the expected propagation of generalizations. These jobs could hold on to possibly working on dark manliness depiction. Omar L.W. punches through, and he's waving a firearm on the road, shouting they're attempting to kill me, no doubt better believe it, except for Hollywood range, isn't restricted to a particular story. The consistently flexible Eddie Murphy, for example, embraced these jobs rejuvenating female characters in films. For